That is true. It would kind of be cool, honestly. I think I might actually like that, as long as actually one of each.
Yes, I would not like that because that irritates me for reasons I cannot fully explain. But for some people out there, that is a thing you can do. And for our players, they're going to be playing some Draven mirrors, but here is TTA's deck, as we noted on the Miracle Shell. 3 Rasses, 3 Seals, 3 Battering Rams, a couple Fizzes, a Falling Stars, and a Partridge in a Pear Tree. Bushwhack definitely a card to keep your eye on there as you look at Samdsherman's mid-range Draven list. 3 Ferris Forerunners, 3 Kaises, 3 Dariuses, 2 Brynhir Thundertongues, which are going to be pretty good in this particular matchup, and a little bit more removal in things like Falling Star. But of course, we have to look at cards like Fight or Flight, which both players will have access to. We heard in the interview that Sam said he feels a little bit favored in this matchup. So we'll have to see who is going to reign supreme. The best of Draven is on the line, and everything is now coming down to this. We started with almost 1,600 players, now down to just 2.
And I am so excited to see how it starts. I think one thing that's really important for both of these players was kind of actually starting with a 2-cost unit. It does look like TTA did miss that. He is only running 3 2-costs. Is going to be that Traveling Merchant. Meanwhile, Sam had 9 in his list, so it is no surprise that we see that Treasure Hunter in the base right now.
Yeah, I think the general expectation, and maybe why Sam feels like he is a bit favored in this matchup, is certainly as far as getting on board early and getting some points into the game. Mid-range Draven on the right is going to be doing a little bit more of that, but Miracle, as we know, can have some very, very unfair-looking turns. So I don't think Sam can let the game push on too long, but again, his deck is one that is kind of designed to get ahead early and then get really ahead in the mid-game and shut out the game with things like Ride the Wind.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think it's really interesting here looking at these different battlefields that our players decided to run. I feel like a lot of times, especially with mid-range Draven, we normally see Reaver's Row, especially so we can protect our units when someone comes into attack, just continue to add more and more might in our base. But Targon's Peak is one of our strongest ones, and we know in this case that TTA is going to take a little bit longer to come online. Sam's list starts a little bit quicker, has a lot more units, and TTA is going to try to get to that later game with that Miracle Shell.
Can be even more units here. Treasure Hunter and Noxus Hopeful also coming through as Titan, another one occupying the battlefield in the bottom, resetting those 2 runes and passing the torch back over to TTA, who started with Trafarian Warcamp, which I was looking at the list and trying to figure out what's going on there, and I have to feel that maybe it's just a way to get a bit more might on battlefield so that things like Falling Star aren't so easy to pick off your smaller units, or maybe a way to dodge some damage spells. But it does feel like in this matchup in particular, for the most part, it just kind of is a wash, right? The buff applies to all units at the battlefield, so yours and your opponents. But with things like Ferris Forerunner, those mechs can get a little bit bigger than you might expect. So I don't think TTA can really take advantage of this battlefield quite so much, but I'm sure Sam can in some niche cases.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I do kind of wonder if it plays into the fact that a lot of these decks have things like that Fight or Flight where it doesn't matter the might, right? Or Rebuke, it doesn't matter the might. Meanwhile, if you go into a deck that is running things like the Falling Star, the Piercing Light, suddenly there's extra hoops to jump to actually kill your units.
Yeah, it's interesting too. There are Spinning Axes in the list as well. Don't always see too many in the Miracle Shells, but TTA does have 2. 1 Rebuke, we've seen that card be pretty good most of this game. And then Ezreal, of course, one of the big departures in list versus Samdsherman, not playing this card at all, which has been kind of the talk of the tournament. So interesting to see that Ezreal is going to make it to our finals, but maybe not in the fashion that we expected it. So a bit of might added here. A big Battering Ram also added, and that is a way for TTA to kind of out-muscle the mid-range deck, right? The units are pretty big, have a lot of good base might printed on them, can be kind of annoying, things like Ferris Forerunner, but when Battering Ram doesn't cost too much energy, it feels awfully unfair.
Yeah, that is completely true. And TTA is getting this early seal of Discord down. That is so important for his list. He's got a lot of units that do have power, and it's just really nice to be able to keep your runes, not have to recycle them to the bottom of your deck, and start to expand on how many resources you have, and hopefully more than our opponent.
Yeah, I've seen those seals be pretty important, and actually, we aren't going to talk about gear destruction in Game 1, because I don't think Samdsherman has any, having a glance at the list, so we'll talk about it a little bit bit more in sideboarding because there's at least one spell that might be pretty good. But for now, we aren't going to bother with that because Ferris Forerunner has come crashing down onto the Trifarian War Camp alongside that Treasure Hunter. And all of a sudden, that one might that was technically two with the War Camp there looks an awful lot bigger. And even though there's no Overzealous fan protecting the Ferris Forerunner, there's a single rebuke here for TTA, which has been the card we've seen most often deal with the Forerunner. And it's going to have to do a little bit of overtime to get it done here, especially with a card being hidden at the battlefield as well.
Yeah, you did say TTA has that rebuke in hand, but we talked about this briefly last round. The fact that oftentimes you don't want to play Ferris Forerunner until you have a fight or flight to hide. And it looks like we are going to be hiding a card here. This card most likely is fight or flight to protect rebuke because it has to be a card at the battlefield. And while you could use fight or flight, sometimes it is normally an action card, but by playing it hidden, it's actually reaction, and we can respond to that rebuke.
You see both players kind of looking off as we had a little bit of a bang in the hole. It is getting a little late here in the hole in Las Vegas. Things are starting to shut down, and the only thing left is us here in the coverage booth bringing these matches and our two players fighting to be the champion of Las Vegas and also win the best of Draven medal card. There were 4 Dravens in our top 4. There were 5 Dravens entering this, and that single rebuke has made their way in. And looks like we are denying our Draven trigger. Moved a little quickly there for TTA, but the rebuke is in hand, and that is going to be the target here for TTA as Samdsherman has to decide, what do I want to do? And I want to do exactly what Ursa told me to do. That's retreat my Ferris Forerunner with a fight or flight.
Yeah, I mean, it is so nice. We tried to use that 2 power, 2 energy card to get that 6 energy, 1 power out of the battle, out of the field, but instead, a hidden card we've already paid for is going to be able to stop that.
Yep, had a gold there as well, so kind of prepaying for your power cost so it doesn't feel quite as bad to hide there when you don't have seals. But a gold also generated for a combat being won by Draven on TTA side, and of course a card being drawn for Draven as well. And we talked about Mind Splitter being a pretty big might unit in the mid-range Draven's list. Well, that's a 7. Battering Ram and Rasa are 5s and 6s, and they're a lot cheaper to try and deploy as the game goes on. So yes, Samdsherman in general has the bigger units. He's wanting to try to play a little bit bigger, but when your opponent has multiple 5s and 6s to throw at a battlefield, your units do not matter as far as their might values go.
Yeah, and maybe that is something the Trifarian War Camp plays into as well, because we just have so many of those larger might units. Even though there's a lot of 5s, suddenly it's a lot of 6s, and that does add up.
Well, Cold Shot, probably the interaction of the tournament at this stage. Ezreal and Cold Shot, usually with their best friend Seal of Discord, have been in perfect harmony all regional qualifier long. The TTA going to get to look at a lot of cards here. It's not just the Draven Legend ability that lets you draw cards. There are plenty of ways for Purple to power through their deck. As Stack Deck now going to get played for a bit more selection and replace itself. Find a card we like, put the other 2 on the bottom, and perhaps pass things back over. We'll see TTA has anything else left. I think it's 2 cards so far for a potential Battering Ram, and I do see 3 energy. But first things first, Targon's Peak going to be conquered here by the War Machine.
Yeah, these Cold Shots and Stack Decks, I think, are a huge difference between Sam and TTA's lists. While obviously Sam does have Stack Deck as well, TTA is actually able to cycle through a lot of his deck and decide what the order of the deck he wants is, while Sam won't have that same option. Oh my gosh, another Battering Ram, though.
Someone didn't count nearly enough cards being played. That someone is me, because those Battering Rams all cost 1, reduced to their absolute minimum that you can have. They cost 1 less for each card you've played this turn to a minimum of 1. They do start at 5. They have 5 might. It's all very neat in the numbers department until your opponent vomits out 3 of them in a single turn, which is exactly what TTA and the Miracle Draven build did, which is exactly what Miracle Draven wants to do.
Yeah, it is what Miracle Draven does best, and it's discounting these units just from all of the actions they're able to do each turn, and suddenly 15 might for just 3 energy.
Looking pretty good there. So TTA going to fan out the graveyard a little bit, and Samdsherman going to go into the tank. There is 10 might on that bottom battlefield. There is 7 up top, and it could be 2 more with a flick of the Fury Rune to the bottom of the Rune deck. So call that 9 at the top part of the map, call it 10 down the bottom, and we're going to have 10 might roll in here. Nox is hopeful, and Ferris Forerunner going to try and do some damage, and TTA does indeed want to trigger Draven's when I attack or defend trigger, so 2 more might going to be added over there, and a fight or flight going to push out the Forerunner once again. This time cast by TTA and not by Sam.
Yeah, a little bit different here, but now suddenly this Nox's hopeful is really getting threatened. But it looks like we're gonna have a rebuke of our own come down, which does mean that that Draven, which was 6 by standing a power, suddenly not really something we look at.
Yeah, kind of reduced a bit more simply here in that exchange in top side. Basically, 2 6s looked at each other, both flew away magically to different zones of the board, and then a 4 and a 3 were staring at each other, and Nox is hopeful, going to win the fight versus little old Ezreal just about every single time. So winning exchange there for Sam, a card being drawn, and the points lead still in his favor. These battering rams looking a bit imposing. Again, they are so efficient when you're able to play them for only 1 or 2 energies. So plenty of might to answer back with, and there is one at home. I like that TTA decided not to overstack one battlefield. Knows that I do kind of want to keep challenging for these combats and not make it too easy for you to sit at these different stations. But a stack deck here is going to see at least a falling star for Samdsherman. And I have a funny feeling that's the card that was taken, but we'll find out in just a moment. Is Sam likely going to... No, not going to pass back just yet. We have 6 runes, so surely something else is going to get played here.
Yeah, we have a lot of options with those 6 runes. Sam did have the Falling Stars in his deck, but I'm not sure we're going to see them come down just yet here with this 10 might in the Targon's Peak. To note, I do think it is great that we kept that battering ram in the base, just because while it's not a great chance we're able to clear both battlefields, on the off chance that we do, we want to keep this moving and not completely lose tempo.
Well, if you have 10 might on one battlefield, I'm going to have 10 might on one battlefield. As a Tide Turner joining that Draven reinforcing from the champion zone. I did get another look at Sam's hand, and unfortunately, I am a liar this time around. It is not Falling Star. It's Spinning Axe, at least is one of the cards in the hand, and I think one more for Sam to ponder over. So TTA going to awaken, score a point from the Targon's Peak, which, as you've noted many times, importantly, not going to give yourself the on-conquer trigger. But the Miracle deck is starting to get its engine online. There are 8 cards in the trash, there is 1 seal in play, and there are many more cards to be drawn, especially when Ezreal makes his way back onto the battlefield.
Yes, Ezreal is going to be able to discard and draw 2 more cards. It looks like we're discarding that Falling Star to get those draw, but also he's going to be able to discount additional costs coming up that includes repeat costs like Calling Shot and Accelerates or other things like that, but also we're dangerously getting close to that 10 cards in the discard pile. And TTA does actually run 3 Rasa the Sunderers, which gets discounted by how many cards are in the discard pile.
Yeah, between Rasa and Bushwhack, those are kind of the turns you really want to look at when Miracle can start to outmuscle you on a single turn and kind of put so much might on a battlefield that you can never find your way back into the game, while also simultaneously clearing whatever combat they choose to engage you with. So for now, it feels like TTA is going to have to take a little bit of a step back, and Battering Ram going to join its friends at Targon's Peak and do a bit of sightseeing as Samdsherman going to untap and take a point and take a draw.
Yeah, let's see what we can do here. We do have the 10 might stuck in the Trifarian War Camp, but it is kind of 13 right now with Trifarian War Camp. But we need to get into Targon's Peak. We have 6, but we have so many runes at our access as well.
Yeah, Sam getting a pretty big resource advantage with TT having to use that power early and not maybe finding as many seals as you would like. Again, seals very good at kind of giving you resources, but the tail on getting that investment back is quite a bit longer. And mid-range Draven are really interested in making this game go very long, because the longer this game goes, the better it is for Miracle. And Samdsherman's here to win. Ferris Forerunner are now going to get equipped with the Spinning Axe. That Darius gets bigger and ready, and everyone's charging down towards the bottom side, and Battering Rams are going to get smashed to bits here in this combat.
Ooh, this is going to be so nice, and we are able to get every one of those battering rams out of Targon's Peak. Spinning Axes is still alive as well, and we have 3 runes up to do extra things, as well as attach the Spinning Axes to one of the other units, so A gets +3 might, but also so we just keep the axes in the first place.
Yeah, interesting decision, I suppose, to take out the Forerunner there. Both units were potentially targets. They certainly couldn't get both, obviously. That's why Sam won the combat. But giving 2 extra mechs to base doesn't necessarily feel great. But it was kind of at a point where you kind of have to just clear it all out at some point, because Darius, you don't really want to stick there either. So with only so many rebukes in TTA's deck, I believe it is just 1. So without a Fizz to potentially buy that one back, tricky unit to get off a battlefield. So just deciding to clear it out instead.
Yeah, we haven't seen Fizz from TTA just yet. There are 2 in his deck, as is very common with these Miracle lists. but we're going to have to see where they can come out at one of these points, maybe play one of the spells from TTA's discard pile and hopefully turn this game around, because Sam is already at 6 points and he wanted this lead. He's got it already.
You're currently threatening a win, and the top battlefield looks a little tough to crack. It's 10 base might without the war camp being factored in. So 13, a bit extra from stacking it up there in the top side. But Type Toner swapping it up with the Darius is great, because don't really care about giving up a point at this point. You're already 3 points ahead here. You're threatening to win with a double hold. You're also threatening to win with a double conquer on the other side of it. They're even going to retreat the hopeful. In fact, going to retreat everyone here and just say, you know what? My army back home is so much bigger than anything you can possibly muster. Do something, because I'm going to win by conquering if you don't.
Yeah, and I think we can also capitalize on this a good bit, the Trifarian War Camp, because we have so many different units, which is just each one of them is going to get +1 from the Trifarian War Camp up top. So we'll have to see what they're able to do, but TTA does look at this. He sees Sam is at 6, and that's a really important number for this deck, and that hopefully we could conquer both sides next turn.
Yeah, Ezreal just going to have to go pay Tide Turner a visit, and yeah, you win the combat, get a point, and draw a card. All pretty important things. So TT has to decide, can I have a big enough turn here to try and stack up a battlefield? Because I think one of the things that happens when Miracle falls behind, and it does do so every now and then, I think if you're not at this point in the game where your opponent can threaten a win quite easily from 6 to 8, it feels a little bit better to play a bit more defensively. But even if you have a big explosive Rasa Bushwhack combination turn, you kind of just priced into stacking everything at one battlefield, because the way you primarily draw cards and take out units is by fighting them. And if you're not at the battlefield, well, we've seen people retreat units all weekend long against Draven. You don't want to get into combat, and the easiest way to do that is just to abstain completely.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It was great by Sam to remove themselves from the Trifarian War Camp while we did keep something in Targon's Peak, which offered a combat for draw. We're not letting them draw twice with the secondary battlefield up north.
TTA calling the shots, and that graveyard is now stacked into a pile after being fanned out before. And I think it had about 8 cards in it when it was fanned out, so I'm going to say with a pretty high certainty that it has more than 10 at this point, which is exactly where Rasa the Sunderer wants to be. And I think we are going to have to see some Rasas reinforcing a battlefield here. But we'll start by tapping through. We'll make another Ezreal, and we'll have to discard a card to draw a few more. But Scrap Heap, going to give that bonus draw all the Miracle players love so much.
Yeah, this is such a great turn for TTA. We do get that second Seal of Discord, the Seal which we had to pay a rune for, pays for itself by paying for Ezreal, and we discard a Scrap Heap. What a great moment here. We'll have to see if it's enough to turn it around, though.
Really digging through the deck is TTA. This is where, again, the deck can shine by accessing so many cards. You drew 3 off Ezreal. I think we played another no, that was the Ezreal before. So Ezreal this turn for 3 cards, thanks to discarding Scrap Heap. 2 called shots, both repeated, I believe. So that is, we've seen 7 cards already and drawn 5 of those, and now Fizz is going to do it all over again.
My gosh.
But what can you find at the end of the line? That's the thing. The battering rams are all gone. We found a falling star. Back from the bin we go. You do have to pay its power cost, so a ton of runes are about to go underneath the rune deck.
Yeah, that is a great point. I wonder what we are still looking for here. Maybe we're still hunting out those Rasas. If we haven't found them just yet, that would be 6 more might for the bottom battlefield, which would be really nice, especially knowing that if Sam can conquer both, we're in a problem.
I feel like it has to be Rasa, because you don't have battering rams left. You find another hopeful. But do you have anything else? Because this isn't that much might. The units you've kind of played to get yourself through your deck with such efficiency are just not big units. They're more utility units. Hiding a card here for TTA, and that is it. All that digging and couldn't find a single copy of your Rasas. You have 3 of them. Gonna get the Peak Conquer Trigger and untap 2 runes, but there's so much going on in the hand, and it's just all small units. How many tricks are there? We'll have to find out in just a moment, but 9 plus 4, that's 13 might only, and I'm not even gonna do the math, because I know Samdsherman's units are bigger. That's already more might waiting at home.
Yeah, I think there's so much might that Sam can threaten here. Obviously, I do believe it is a fight or flight here in the bottom battlefield. I think it's the only hidden in his main deck, so it could potentially push away one of Sam's units, but he's got a lot of them, and he's still got a lot of runes as well that he could be using.
Certainly is likely to be a a fight or flight. It could be the little bushwhack bluff, as I like to call it, which we did see actually from Prismaticism on stream earlier in the Swiss rounds. That would really just get your power back as you make a gold. The readying your units on your opponent's turn doesn't do all that much. So not the card you necessarily want to see, but kind of making Samdsherman think about it at least. Because at this point total, it's not like Sam has to go for the win this turn. So can just respect the potential fight or flight. So if it is a bluff from TTA, it might be a prudent one, but I have a feeling Sam is just going to go rocking in some increments here and try and cut down the battlefields one by one. And when you do suspect it's fight or flight, it's often safe-ish to go alone and just see what you can chip away at.
Yeah, and I think especially with spinning axes, it is so nice to go one by one. You are giving more draw to TTA by doing that.
That's true.
But each time you reattach the spinning axes, it isn't like you just gave, Noxus Hopeful 2 from Discipline and your other guys don't get anything. The spinning axe, Noxus Hopeful dies, and now you can reattach it to your Tide Turner, trade up to something that has 5, reattach it to something else, another +3. Ooh.
That battlefield just completely wipes away. Draven goes down, but there was a bushwhack.
You were right, it was the bushwhack.
Card, and I think shows off the rest as well. Just conceding, I believe. Yes, it is. It's Samdsherman taking game number 1 yet again. Mid-range Draven, 1 game away from being crowned our champion.
Yeah, what a fantastic job by both players. I loved the bluff. We've seen it a couple times now. Even when you don't have that fight or flight, you act like you have that fight or flight, but it will be able to take us the game. And TTA, I mean, both players will have the option to sideboard. TTA has a couple extra cards here. Obviously, Bryn here, Thundersong. He's also got 3 Ferris Forerunners in that side deck that he could put in, and Last Rites as well.
I'm not going to lie, most of this board looks kind of attractive in this matchup for different reasons. Bryn here is not bad at shutting down your opponent's potential tricks, so it is obviously better against maybe a deck like Ezreal or maybe the Mirror, where there's a few more spells being played in flurries. But Switcheroo actually seems okay here, because in general, TTA's units are going to be smaller than Sam's units, and Rebuke obviously against Forerunner is a really nice trick to have. Just having your own Forerunners when you're trying to fight kind of these mid-range battles does seem pretty good, but Samdsherman also prepared. Hard Bargain could be decent. 2 Mind Splitter looks great here. The Falling Star could be okay. The Last Rites that both players have access to, certainly something I think they're going to want to bring in, but I talked about it earlier. There is a way to undo all those seals in Sam's sideboard, a single copy of Thermo Beam.
Yeah, Thermo Beam is so nice. I feel like a lot of gear removal that we see is, remove 1 gear, but Thermo Beam is kill all gears, which is absolutely insane. I do think Mind Splitter is also nice, getting not only the information from your opponent's hand, but also to remove something there. And I mean, Falling Star, as you mentioned, I think could be really good in this matchup. You can kill Ezreal's, which is really, really nice, and maybe another unit as well.
You can see a deep exhale there from Sam on camera, kind of understanding the gravity of the situation. Actually going to walk away from the table. So going to get fight or flighted off the feature match stage. And if it wasn't obvious already, we are live here in this finals. We've caught up to the event here. And I think that Sam is going to take a little walk, reset, prepare, visualize what winning this game is going to look like, or maybe just doing a little bathroom break.
Yeah, it does seem like he's putting a lot of pressure on himself from the interview that we saw earlier with what he was saying from his Magic Pro Tour runs, it sounded like. So we'll have to see what he does here. But, a lot of card games is that mental battle, so maybe a deep breath will do him good.
You can see the deck list as well. For either player now available, players going to be looking over them and making sure they know exactly what their sideboard strategies want to be. In general, have to feel like the players have kind of mapped this out already, considering what their matchups might have been in top 8. Although they didn't have all that much time as we reset Sam at the feature match table and the shuffling begins in our second game, and we have seen Sam play many game 3s so far this event. Is the final going to be the time where he finally doesn't have to do it?
That would be really nice to see, but we'll have to see what both these players do. It is the finals for both of them, so they're bringing their A game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is game 3 again. Both of these players have probably so many rounds into these same decks. expecting Draven not too crazy.
We've played so many games here in Las Vegas, and we only have up to 2 remaining. As to note, TTA actually has not lost a game in the round of 8 until just now. 2-0'd his quarterfinals, 2-0'd his semifinal, and unfortunately dropping the first game here. But the first one, you know, sometimes you can give it away. It's not so bad. Never feels good to lose the first one. Always feels great to win it. But it really just matters that you win 2. Doesn't matter how many losses, well, it does matter how many losses you take before it. As long as you win 2 at the end of it all, you'll grab the best of 3, the crown, the glory, the trophy, the money, the playmat, the promo, and of course, the best of Metal Draven card, which I can't believe I'm saying that because that is a ridiculous prize for winning a final.
Yeah, and also it'll be a great comeback arc if you do, you know, game 2 and 3 as a win.
All right, game 2 is kicking off. We saw the battlefields. It is Obelisk of Power for Samdsherman and Zorn Warrens here for TTA. Will Miracle continue its reign here as one of the most powerful decks in Riftbound? Or is mid-range Draven enough juice to get over the line and be the champion of Regional Qualifier Las Vegas?
Yeah, and we are into that game 2. Zorn Warrens is the choice by TTA. I think it's going to be great for what that deck wants to do for, I mean, Miracle just wants to draw, draw, and draw. It's got Scrap Heap in its deck. It's got Traveling Merchant, and obviously that Ezreal discard as well. So we're going to be seeing a lot of cards here on that Miracle side. Sam will get to access it, but TTA is definitely set up to access it better.
Yeah, you can see TTA starting off with a stack deck, getting a little bit more selection, maybe trying to find one of the 2s that inhabits the deck, and does find a Noxus Hopeful. Not so many of those. That is one of TTA's best turn 1 plays.
Yeah, and I do think he really wanted to find a turn 1 going into that mid-range. We know if Sam can get ahead early, then that's going to be a bad spot for TTA. And actually that Obelisk, it's what allows him to do it, because Obelisk gets discounted by that stack deck that we saw, and suddenly it's not a 4 cost, it's only a 2 cost.
I don't want to read too much into things, but TTA, I think, starting to feel a little bit of the gravity of the finals, especially how late and how long the tournament has been. It has been a long weekend for these players to battle all the way up to this final 2 spot. He's kind of plonking the runes on top in a little pile. He's forgetting to awaken his units every now and then. It is important, again, to remember the little things, to keep everything clinical and orderly, because you want to at least keep the automatic things automatic, because you have so much to think about when matches are this high stakes. But we're back to Sam already. Dravens are out, leaping from the chosen champion zones and back into the base. And now Samdsherman starts to ponder, what do I want to do this turn? There's Darius, which would cost all 6 runes, and apparently that's good enough. It costs 5 too, because I apparently can't remember energy costs from cards that were played commonly in Origins. And is there a stack deck to reset it? If there is, Samdsherman decides, I don't want to do it this turn. I'm going to make you come to me. I don't want to get into combats. I don't think I can win, so I am just going to wait.
Yeah, I think both of these players are kind of in a little bit of a stall. You know, we didn't move forward as TTA, and Sam isn't deciding to try to take either of these battlefields. They know that, you know, combat could mean extra card draw, which could be dangerous for both of them, because you don't want the other to get ahead in cards here.
Yeah, no, you can pretty accurately predict how much you're winning a game by how many times your Draven Legend triggers in any given matchup, especially in the mirror. But the game being a bit slower paced is somewhat concerning when Miracle has such a great engine once it gets online. And Seal into Ezreal, into discarding Scrap Heap is exactly what the Doctor ordered for a TTA comeback to even up our grand finals, potentially.
Yeah, it is exactly what TTA is going to need to take this game to. Oh my God, that is the perfect sequence for him, and he is, I'm sure, so happy for it. And straight into a called shot here. Now, not only are we getting that extra draw, we're getting that not having to pay that power for Ezreal, but we're going to get to see 2 cards for the price of 1. Oh, 4 cards for but the price of the power of 1.
Yep, that's a pretty good rate if you ask me. And if you're wondering why TTA might be going digging when you don't have to do this, you have 2 seals already. You could wait and maybe keep your rune count a little bit higher. Well, there's a little card called Battering Ram I'd like to introduce you to. And there's 2 of them in the base. Thanks, TTA, right on time.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, he's seeing here that he's playing it for 1. Actually an incredible turn here on TTA's side. I think that the game couldn't be going better right now.
And again, the mid-range decks do want it to be just a bit bigger than every other deck they play against, or get under the decks that are really, really slow. This is a position where the units on your opponent's side of the field are starting to look a little bit bigger than you'd like. So Samdsherman will go digging once again. Stack deck is going to go fanning through the top 3 cards of the deck, and we'll put one of those in our hand and the rest recycled to the bottom. We'll do a quick might check while we're here, though. It is only 9 right now in Sam's base, and it is at least 10 just from the 2 rams, and we're going to add 8 and 3, which is 11. So 21 to 9. Again, a great number here in Vegas is 21, and TTA off to a much better start this game.
Yeah, I think TTA is really happy here. Sam has had to go a lot slower. We saw him play Draven and then Darius, 2 good size units, but we didn't even get to get Darius ready and attacking the same turn that he was played, which, is fine. We have the might, but in this game plan, I think we need him moving.
Yeah, the thing is there's nowhere for Sam to go, because the whole thing with Draven, when you ready up units, is you want to go fight stuff. And again, when you don't go to the battlefield, when your opponent decides to play pacifist, you can't really get all the value you'd want out of your fighting. But that is a nice little trick there from Sam, actually readying after conquering to, again, keep the units safe in base, because I don't know how many times I can repeat it. I guess not that many more, because we only have so many games left here in Vegas. But do not leave your units at the battlefield playing against Draven unless you are very sure they're going to win their subsequent combats.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to starve each other of resources here, not leaving anything in these battlefields to be able to have a combat against. And so not a lot of draw from these Draven leaders, but slower game is exactly where TTA is going to feel at home with. Another called shot. We're going to look at more cards, and because we get to choose which ones go to the bottom of our deck, this Draven will be able to know exactly what he's going to be seeing later in this game, because this deck has the ability to cycle through the entire game.
Yeah, every single time Ezreal lives, another cold shot is played for an extremely good rate. That just kind of seems to be the trend that these Miracle Draven decks do consistently show, and that hand is unbelievable as far as number of cards in hand. At a glance, it's 6 or 7. That was not on purpose, and I regret some of my life choices. Ezreal gonna go north perhaps here, perhaps with on the back of a War Machine, perhaps like a Battering Ram. TTA lining up some potential conquers and decides the Zone Warrens is the first port of call.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if Sam has anything, but if not, we'll be able to go on and discard. Ezreal getting discarded means I think TTA is pretty happy with his hand right now.
I'd be terrified if I was Sam and I saw that happen. A Conquer just throwing away this Ezreal. Don't need it. Don't need any more cards. Have more than enough. Going to keep vomiting might into the base. And already a question being asked on the top side, but TTA has got more where that came from potentially.
And everything for discounted prices, which is just where this deck thrives. This Noxus Hopeful, a 2, not a 4 here. We're going to play another card, another Noxus Hopeful for 2, not 4. Discount after discount after discount. And that's not even the best discount that this deck can play.
And of course, using the seal this time to hide a card. That's the other thing it does, besides pay for Cold Shot for free with Ezreal's in play. So Battering Ram going to represent 10 might on the top, and there's going to be a hidden card as well, which, as you mentioned, is really only one of 2 things. We already saw the Bushwhack. This time I think we're going to see the Fight or Flight.
Yeah, it definitely could be. And we also do have Switcheroo in the side for TTA. Is something that could be put in, if only for extra cards to bluff with. You never know.
It's not so bad here, because Darius and Draven are both bigger than the Battering Ram, so that is a trick that would maybe work out here. So TTA presenting a few options here for Samdsherman to mull over. I see a Ferris Forerunner in the hand, considering yet another stacked deck. 3 cards in the right-hand side, hand on the table picked up by the left. Requires a lot of dexterity sometimes to hold all the cards that these purple decks do want to have a look at. But clearly a pretty big decision to make here, because TTA is finally committed to a battlefield. And generally that means they're feeling pretty confident about winning a combat.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And they have the cards to defend with. Not even only the cards, they have the runes to defend with as well. A hidden card already paid for, and 3 runes up. That is normally roughly 1 card for a Draven, because we are looking at intervals of 2, but it could still be things like stack deck that could help us see more cards on TTA's side, which is not great for Sam.
Yeah, well, Draven going to go bot lane. Going to go ahead and take that point and retreat. Same trick we saw in the previous turn. Ferris Forerunner also got played as the second card to proc that Draven's ready and pop effect. I did see a Rebuke on TTA's hand, and Rasa is one of the other cards in the hand that I have seen. But these Battering Rams going to do their job and hold on to the battlefield. So Zone Warren's going to be scored for yet another point, this time via holding.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple players actually play Rasa for higher costs than completely free minus a power, but TTA is moving through his deck. I think he is happy to wait. He's only, it looks like, at 6 cards in his discard pile, so he's probably going to wait a couple more turns before we see that Rasa come down on his side.
You can see what very cheap might can do for you in a game like this where you're trying to outmuscle the mid-range units. As TTA shuffling a few more units around, decides, you know what, looks pretty good here at the Obelisk of Power. Those units absolutely are exhausted. I feel like TTA might be a bit as well, because again, it's just these small things in gameplay. It doesn't matter on its face, but it can add up every now and then. But there's that Rasa we saw, and that you suspected was coming in. Not the biggest discount ever, but not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was 4, but we're threatening 18 down here at the Obelisk of Power. That's a lot for Sam to deal with right now, and I'm not fully sure he's going to want to commit everything to take this back.
Yeah, 18 down the bottom, 10 and a hidden card up the top, a rebuke in hand that we know about, and that Samdsherman very likely suspects as Sam lays the units out a little more in a line just to be able to see those might totals cleanly, and I'm sure that's for him, but I like to think that it's for us also.
That would be very kind of him. It looks like we are looking at roughly 19. Might could be upwards, though, of 23 if you get all the triggers on Sam's side. Darius can go to 7. Draven can go to 6. And so we could see him moving these battlefields, but he's got a lot to think about. That hidden, you mentioned, 4 runes up on TTA's side. That could be 2 more spells that he plays. And Sam has a lot to think about here.
Yeah, 23 with the triggers, I think, is about where you were, and that is correct. I was looking at Sam's board a few times and blinking quite hard. That number does not divide all that well against what? 28, which is the total might that TT has across both battlefields here. Again, 10 up top and 18 down the bottom. And the hidden card is going to throw a spanner or 2 into the works. I do see what looks to be the edges of 2 copies of Fight or Flight in Samdsherman's hand all the way on the left. And we are not scooping, I hope. We're going to a battlefield.
I think we are going to a battlefield. I did also see another Darius in hand. I don't think we played any cards yet on Sam's turn, so we could still get that Darius readied and up to fight, but we are just going to go in first to that Obelisk of Power with our currently 19, could be 23, I think we agreed on, versus the 18.
It is 18. 19 is big enough, but I want to make it a little bigger here, does Sam. So Draven is going to get pumped, and Darius isn't ready just yet, but he could be.
He could
be. We do have 2 actions or reactions we can play here in the showdown. Could get even bigger than that, but this rebuke is going to be troublesome. Ferris Forerunner almost always draws the ire of that particular bounce spell. So now it looks like a little more even of a fight. 6 plus 4, that's 10, plus 5 is 15. 15 playing 18 is good for TTA. Even if Draven gets pumped, even if Darius gets pumped, that's only going to be 17. But it depends what it gets pumped by, because I do see a spinning axe in Sam's hand as well.
We also do see Fight or Flight, which does mean if we can play 2 of them, increase the might of this Darius, but also decrease the might on TTA's side, which, you know, 2-fold win for Sam.
Decides actually to bounce one of the hopefuls back to base. Kind of wants to tussle with the Rasa and get it into the graveyard. Not have to deal with that very efficient 6-might unit any longer. So this fight looking a lot fairer. It's only 14 right now, and Sam says, hey, I'm currently winning. Why don't you do something about this? And TTA says, nope, I'm just going to lose. Take out some of your units, leave a hopeful on the battlefield, but let you win the combat, get a point, and draw a card.
Yeah, I mean, not great to lose all those units, but I'm sure Sam doesn't feel too bad with that card draw. He still does have so many of his runes up. We know that there is a Darius. We've played 1 card thus far this turn, which does mean this Darius could be played as card number 2, and that would mean that Darius would trigger his own ability, readying him, making him a 7. Not enough just yet for those battering rams on the north battlefield, but it could be the first step to it.
You had to commit quite a lot of units just to clean out that battlefield. Did successfully do so, but there's all this might up top. There's all this might left at home. So Sam says, I'm just going to redeploy my Ferris Forerunner here because I know that's a unit that's pretty annoying for you to deal with, and I'm just going to pass it back. So 3 apiece as far as the point totals go. TTA is going to hold for a point here at the Warren. So up to 4, currently in the lead as far as points go, and is going to awaken the rest of the things.
I think this is really interesting by Sam to choose to play the Ferris Forerunner there and not play that second fight or flight that we know he has in hand. That being said, maybe knowing the fact that there's only one, I believe, one Rebuke in the main deck, but we are in game 2, and we know there's a second one in the side deck that he could have put in. Also, we can access our own discard pile in the Miracle list because of cards like Fizz.
Yep, Fizz haven't seen too much of. Saw it in game 1, did a lot of digging alongside an Ezreal, but wasn't able to come up with the cards that TTA needed to win that game. Instead, it's going to be quite a bit of might coming on through. That is 11 as printed, but 1 recycle here of the rune. It's going to make it +2 more for Draven. So 13 all told, playing 10. With Sam only having 2 runes available and TT having a few more than that. So fight or flight going to be used on defense. Didn't want to recycle a power. Does want to push the Draven out of the combat.
Yeah, we do push that Draven back. We could potentially lose this Ferris Forerunner in this battle, but if they decide to kill the Ferris Forerunner and not the Noxus Hopeful, it would mean, oh, it looks like we kill both, but we could get 2 baby mechs again in the base.
Yeah, those mechs do seem pretty good in the spot like this.
Ooh.
So it's double axe here. Couple of tricks here as axe is being thrown and juggled into the air. That's going to be +6 all told at this particular battlefield. So it was a 4 and a 3. That's 7 + 3 is 10 + 3 is 13. And as we pointed out already, only 10 here right now for Samdsherman. So going to have a quick fan through the trash, maybe just counting how many cards it is. That certainly looks like more than 10 if there's another Rasa on the mind for our mid-range Draven player. But the combat does not work out, but the mechs do get made in base. So Ezreal going to be the one left holding the axe at the battlefield. TTA likely going to reattach it to one of his units. The question becomes, which one? As Falling Star says, I don't think so. I'm going to take all of the Ferris Forerunner off the field.
Yeah, and that is a huge swing by TTA. I mean, Sam was pretty well set up, and he had that Ferris Forerunner. Ferris Forerunner is so nice in saying you can try to remove me, but you won't be able to do it. But TTA had the one card that was needed, Falling Star, dealing 3 to both of those baby mechs, meaning Sam is put so far behind here with no units in even his base.
I would not like to cast a curse, our Draven player on the left, but I can't help but feel like Miracle Draven has put itself in a winning position here in game number 2, which is great news for Riftbound fans across the world, because that means we get one more game. And that's all the games we have room for on this broadcast. We'll see if Samdsherman can mount the comeback. Mind Splitter looks to be the draw for turn, a pretty powerful piece to deploy in this kind of matchup, but is it a little too late? 7 might looking a little smaller with things like Rasa on the horizon.
Yeah, that is completely true. And TTA has gotten to look at so many of his cards as well. This Mind Splitter may have too many choices really to do too much, but we will at least get the information in hand if we decide to play that 7 Might unit.
It looks like Kai'Sa, Falling Star, Darius, Mind Splitter, Spinning Axe, and another 2, Tide Turner as the last card in Samdsherman's hand. So a lot of options to pick from. But I'm not exactly sure what line you're supposed to take. It's tough to get on battlefield this turn, certainly in a way that feels meaningful. I guess Darius is the way you would do that if you feel like you want to try and win a combo, but there are still 2 pesky runes ready and waiting for TTA. So whatever you get up to here, it's not going to be easy to kick off either battlefield. And that hidden card's still up the top as well. So if you're going to look somewhere for a battlefield, I think you have to look in the bottom side on Obelisk of Power. Otherwise, I think Samdsherman is just going to play for a setup turn here.
Yeah, and I mean, we can set up with this Darius but the problem is if we want to go into Obelisk of Power, Ezreal is currently a 6 with the spinning axes, which is slightly larger than Darius. That being said, if Darius does get readied, it will become a 7. It actually looks like we're potentially looking at the top battlefield, though, taking out a battering ram. Currently, we do still go into the south battlefield, though. Yeah,
I like this play here. It's using Falling Star to remove one of the battering rams, kind of clear that out, because you do have to do that at some point, and you might as well use your removal. It's relatively efficient. Darius, though, does win the exchange with Ezreal, which is nice to see. So going to draw a card, get a point, and try and even up the point total. I may have spoken slightly too soon, because TTA didn't really have anything to speak of there on the backswing. So Darius does successfully claim the battlefield, get the point, hide a card, and create a situation where Sam is crawling back the points as TTA gonna awaken and score to 6. So these next few turns looking like they're gonna be our final ones of this game. The question is, Ursaday, for whom?
That is a great question, and Sam was able to do all of that with still leaving 3 runes up. This is a great position to be in, at least for dealing with this turn. TTA at 6 points. gonna need a couple more turns or be able to take both battlefields to really maneuver his way even closer to the win.
How many cards does TTA have? Hasn't really had that much of the draw happening lately. So a couple called shots earlier. We saw the Ezreal that was really making that sing, but perhaps another Ezreal to dig for more cards. No, it's a Fizz looking to buy back something here from the bin. Seal gets tapped to pay for the power cost, and Fizz is going to retrieve something, fishing up a spell from the rubbish bin. It is going to be called shot once more. This time, though, it is going to cost 2 power, not 1.5. Yeah,
there is no Ezreal to be seen here on the field for TTA, meaning it is going to be at full cost. But that being said, TTA is looking for something. Obviously, he didn't choose any of the other spells in his discard pile. So the most important thing TTA is prioritizing is finding the cards he needs.
Does have a hard bargain, I believe, somewhere in the list. Yes, one in the main deck. Would be pretty good against the suspected spell that's hidden under the battlefield, but just going to pass back here after the Fizz happens. And after 6, we go for both players. Starting to feel like a little bit precarious here. But again, I'm not sure which way the scales are going to tip.
Yeah, they're teetering back and forth for sure here. I'm not really sure who's going to take it just yet. We do have a removal spell in hand. I saw that Falling Star. We could potentially kill the Battering Ram, and if we're able to do so, that hidden card is suddenly just going to have to go to the trash as well.
Yeah, also trying to consider if we do want to maybe move this Darius back and then ready it again to go over and conquer at the Zone Warrens, but of course that would lose the hidden card that Sam so lovingly placed there. So we'd have to reinforce first if that's the line you wanted to look at, and there's just not very many cheap units to look at here. It's Kai'Sa and Mindsplitter and Darius. None of those cost less than 4, with Kai'Sa being the cheapest one. 1 extra, of course, if you want to accelerate it.
Yeah, I think there's like some world where there's a play where you could go into both battlefields if you like fighter yourself back, went up, and then you could go back safe. But you don't want to do that this turn. We're currently at 6 points for TTA, so we need to kind of hold at least one battlefield so he can't take both next turn.
Does seem to be that way. Want to at least present some sort of threat, and the hidden card and the Darius do seem to be just that. So it looks like 4 runes are going to be turned sideways. And that, to me, seems like Kai'Sa.
Ooh.
Kai'Sa is actually just going to reinforce. We do want the retreat here. And now this next card is going to ready the Darius. And here's the Falling Star we thought about. Battering Ram going to be pushed out back into the trash. That hidden card is going to go by the wayside along with it. And Darius is ready to go. You can see Sam already trying to awaken it. Hidden card goes away. That fight or flight crumbles to dust. And Sam now threatening to get to 6 himself and set up to win on the subsequent turn.
That is going to be so nice for Sam. TTA did have to pay power to hide that fight or flight, and it's gone now. Instead, Sam taking both sides here. It feels nice for sure, and I mean, we'll have to see what TTA can do.
Very delicate game. Kind of hanging in the balance here is Mindsplitter. Yeah, don't have time for that. I actually really respect that as a discard. A great spell in many matchups when you can be afforded the time to cast it, but certainly not a luxury Sam has in this particular matchup, because we are basically a turn away from either player winning from this point forward. So far, Sam, if he holds this position, is going to threaten to hold for the win. The double conquer is also available, and it's already 10 might between the Fizz and the Draven with the spinning axe. In fact, it's more than that, with Draven being able to recycle maybe the one remaining Fury rune that TTA has right now.
Yeah, it's a concern for sure. I mean, the might that TTA already has in base, Sam is trying to figure out how to make this a harder puzzle for TTA to figure out next turn. We have 2 runes up. Do we keep it up as almost like a mind game? I still have cards I could play, or does he need to put other cards down to, reinforce his board? It looks like we are going to go for that reinforcement because, to be fair, as long as TTA doesn't take both sides or both battlefields, we still do have another turn.
Yeah, Overzealous Fan and Spinning Axe were kind of the 2 choices there for Sam to make, and decide that Overzealous Fan's protection on that top battlefield was more worthwhile. But Rebuke is going to push Kai'Sa away, and I would be terrified.
I think I would be as well. We could play the hidden here, and assuming it's fight or flight, save Kai'Sa, but if TTA can take both sides, it won't matter. The game will be over.
That's why I'd be terrified, because this hidden card's going to go away one way or the other, most likely. And Rebuke Rebuke, especially that quickly, kind of sells to me that TTA feels like he's found a line to win this game and push us to a final one. But we'll have to find out, because if he can't find it, Sam is going to get awfully close to winning his second match in a row and being crowned the champion of Las Vegas.
Yeah, let's see.
The Tide Turner?
Oh.
Is a Tide Turner. Swapping with the Darius. Very opportune moment. Now going to make the Might even better at that battlefield. Does kind of move the power around. Doesn't change the totals too much, but is going to present more threat at the Warrens. And Draven, sorry, is going to go straight in there and try and pick a fight.
Yeah, it's going to be 6-5 right now, which is going to be enough to kill that Darius. But that does divide the Might.
That's game.
Oh, no. And yeah, that is going to be game from that fight or flight. Fizz will be able to kill the Tide Turner, and that's the 2 points TTA needed this turn to be able to win. We're going to game 3.
We found the line for game 3. I said TTA felt like it was in a winning position, and I suppose after a few turns, I was proven correct. Thank goodness the player would never have forgiven me if I had cast a curse then, but we are going to get one final game here in Las Vegas. There are so many matches of Riftbound played, hundreds and hundreds, round upon round. Again, 1,700 players or so at this event. Very similar to the numbers at Bologna as far as players that signed up to win some best of, to get a qualifying slot to a regional by finishing top 64, and to, of course, maybe win it all here in top 8. We'll go back to the sideboards once more. The players are thinking, is my deck in a spot where I want it to be?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what knowledge did I gain in this last match that is going to help me figure out exactly the pieces I need? I mean, there's so many different questions. I mean, obviously, Rebuke did seem to come in. I think I saw 2 different Rebukes during last game.
I almost assuredly would want Rebuke in this matchup, given how annoying Ferris Forerunner is. Actually, notably, I don't think I saw Forerunner, which is a card I thought maybe TTA will want access to. We did see at least one Mind Splitter, so Sam clearly bought at least one of those in. Didn't spot a Thermo Beam. Didn't really see a Hard Bargain, although not sure how valuable it is in this matchup. Certainly some spots where it's really good, but it's not always overperforming. And the Shovel, it's only a one-up for both teams, but for both players, but didn't see that one here either. Have to think that that's got enough power, especially as the game kind of pushes on, that you probably want access to the effect, although it is a little bit slow. And I think the tempo of this game is really interesting because Sam's deck is very consistent, constantly applying very similar numbers, very similar pressure, really great output, good might, and of course, continually snowballing an advantage while triggering Draven's legend ability. On the other side, again, Miracle more explosive, but a little more inconsistent. And TTA had a much more explosive beginning to that game. There are many battering rams played in this game, but if that doesn't happen, I don't think the average might that TTA is going to muster in the section of the game where Sam is kind of ready to really be pushing is going to outmuscle the units that Sam has access to.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. TTA had so many fantastic turns, getting that was basically his 2 costs on his turn 1, thanks to that Obelisk stacked into Nox's Hopeful. I don't think you can get a better turn 1. And then also we had the Seal of Discord into Ezreal into Scrap Heap. Just so many different things there that led to TTA's win. I'm really interested to see if we can do it again. And I know TTA is going to want to find a 2-drop, but he just doesn't have as many as Sam does.
Yeah, also going to be going second here in this final game. So going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball, if you will, to start this one off. And that's okay. Miracle often in spots where it does feel a little bit behind. But Sam has saved, I would say, the best for last here in Game 3. I talked about how Reaver's Row feels like so often the opening battlefield for Draven. Sam saving it for the final moments of this grand final. And all of a sudden, moving into battlefields is going to feel like a really gross prospect if you ever have to go to the Row.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Reaver's Row is so strong in tangent with that Draven ability, but also the other thing is Sam can just keep building might in his base. He can protect whatever in the Reaver's Row and hopefully convince his opponent to give him some combat draws as well, which will be nice. And we'll also have that Obelisk of Power with an extra energy for our turn 1 that will help us get set up early and hopefully get off to the races.
I actually kind of like Obelisk here going second. Need to find a unit early, and at least you have one in your chosen champion zone. But it is Game 3, and that is our final game of the weekend. We have taken quite the long road to get here, and now only one Draven can remain. Will it be TTA on Miracle Draven, or will it be Samdsherman on mid-range?
Yeah, we'll have to find out. This is the last match that will decide it, and I cannot wait to not only see our winner of the tournament, but the best Draven we see.
That's true. You do get to be the best Draven. That means winning the best of prize, which is very valuable on top of it all. So stack deck to kick things off. We have seen this opener so many times from Dravens and Ezreals alike.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to get to pick the cards that'll come to your hand, and you get to look at 3 to choose the best one for your hand here. It does look like we do find a 2-cost, and it is going to be that Treasure Hunter. We saw that last round for Sam. I don't think we saw it any of the last 2 games, but generating that gold early, it's not as nice as a Syl per se, but we will just get it from moving, which is pretty economical.
Yeah, it does the thing you want it to do, which is get points early on the board, get yourself some gold. Again, Sam does not have seals, so this gold nice only is good. And Falling Star immediately committed here by Sam. Does not want the early game to go any way other than his.
Yeah, that is a fantastic turn 2 for Sam. That Falling Star does cost us a bit of power, but I mean, to take the wind out of TTA's cells, I think it's worth it.
I mean, look, mid-range is often a deck that can kind of be like a little bit more slow, but in this matchup, Sam absolutely is the aggressor. Wants to get on battlefield early, wants to play the earlier drops that he put in his deck, and wants to do something before the engine can really get online. But bad news is that Seal the Discord is going to kick things off here. So TT already finding the pieces. Ezreal, I know, is going to be the follow-up here as well. So starting to assemble the machine already. How much time does TTA have? That's the question we're going to have to ask ourselves.
And we discard an Ezreal, though. I don't know if I should read that as a great hand or a terrible one when it's only our turn 2. I'd want to see a scrap heap, obviously, to get extra card draw. Later in the game, I'd say we must have a great one, but this early?
The one card we only to be thinking of is Battering Ram. That is the only thing you want here early on in the game, and there's an Noxus Hopeful just barely missing out on the 5 might, but 4 ain't bad as Samdsherman awakens everything, gets a point for holding, and starts to push forward because, again, time is not on your side.
It is not. Sam's going to want to try to finish this game early or at least be able to get an early lead here. It's a bit difficult, obviously, because TTA is already finding its units. It was able to find at least somewhat of a discounted unit with that Legion keyword on Noxus Hopeful, but it wasn't the Battering Ram that he really wanted.
Ezreal on this seal also sets up Cold Shot to be played at maximum efficiency. So lots of things for Sam to worry about on subsequent turns. For now, just trying to puzzle out what we want to do with this hand, because this hand kind of sucks. It's Darius, Mind Splitter, and all of those cost more energy than Sam currently has in play, and this is the impact of that Falling Star.
Yeah, that is rough. It looks like those 2 power will come back to bite us. We could play a single Darius for 5 for 1, but we won't be able to get to use the written text on the card, which is to ready it, get that 7, potentially take another point. But if we really wanted to do that, we could have. Noxus Hopeful was ready in our base, and so actually we are choosing here, making a conscious decision not to take that 3rd point.
Yeah, again, even with Reaver's Roar giving you a pretty easy avenue out, you don't want to lose combat to Draven. So good on us today for remembering the energy cost of Darius, which I think is something I've forgotten twice already in this grand finals, but it's been a long weekend. That's going to be my excuse. I'm sticking to it. As Sam setting up the units in the middle of the game. It's almost like that's something that a deck that's labeled mid-range would want to do. But TTA, what's next? A second seal. Always delicious in these Miracle lists.
Yeah, Miracle wants to get these seals done as quick as possible, and that seal is already going to pay for itself to some extent. Well, no, it's a different color. But we are going to be able to see that Fallen Star come down and to start clearing out different things. We see that Darius that we just paid for going into the trash already.
Yeah, again, not a great hand for Sam, so just committing a big unit and getting it Falling Star pretty efficiently as TT, I think for the most part, realizes I just need to buy time. I love cards, I want to draw them, but the only way I'm going to do that is if Sam commits to a battlefield that I don't think he really should have. So Sam, again, being careful, wanting to get points where he can, but not wanting to overextend and give card draws over to the Draven. That really is the name of the game when you play against this deck. Try as hard as you can to not let your opponent's Draven Legend trigger.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And Sam is playing that mini game here between all of these actions, that conscious decision to stay back. It does look like Mind Splitter is coming down, and only 2 cards in TTA's hand is showing us that Sam is playing it successfully. He's starving TTA of cards, even though maybe he could access them in different ways. He's not just yet.
I almost wonder if that's Little tiny mistake again from TTA, because could have responded with the spinning axe before the Mind Splitter trigger did go off. You have to think that might would have been pretty valuable on one of your units, but just giving your opponent the choice of what card you want to take. And Switcheroo's pretty good. Maybe it's a card you want to hold on to, so offer up the axe to your opponent here on the Mind Splitter, but certainly didn't seem to consider an option you wanted to take. So maybe decided that already knew if Mind Splitter does come, I have no interest in playing this axe, but is going to lose it as a result.
Yeah, and TTA does only run 2 spinning axes, so that's half of them already gone. That Mind Splitter is so strong, being able to discard a card from your opponent's hand. And I mean, we also now know it's just a switcheroo. We don't have to worry too much.
Yeah, I mean, next hidden card's going to be a little bit more obvious, and more than anything else, TTA is just so down on resources in terms of cards in hand. Miracle, a deck that draws so many cards, usually has their hand full to the brim, but not in this case. It's one measly card. My goodness, that is almost a perfect draw. Cold shot off the topping. It's either smile on TTA's face. That is exactly what he needed to kick himself back into this game.
Yeah, he's going to get to look at 4 different cards and choose 2 of them, which is going to be really, really nice here, going from only 2 cards in a hand to 3.
Part of Greed pretty good. I've heard from some reliable sources. A Rasa now getting spotted as well. Not too expensive, discounted by 6 right now. 4 isn't the best, but it's certainly not the worst if TTA wants to add a little bit more might to this battlefield, and still a Seal of Discord up and available to pay that power cost nice and conveniently. And again, there is a Mind Splitter across the other side in the base of Sam, so knows that there's a pretty big unit that you have to contend with very, very soon.
Yeah, and there's even a chance, right, that Sam could have a second one. There were 2 Mind Splitters in his side deck. He could have potentially put in both of them into his deck here for this game 3. So TTA, I mean, he's only has to look out for one, but he does have to look out for that one.
I think TTA reached for Gold Token because I think he assumed it was Draven that was coming to win that combat. No, it's Ezreal with 3 might versus the 1 of Treasure Hunter that does take the exit offered by Reaver's Row, but that does mean Draven is winning a combat, drawing TTA a card and scoring his first point of this game. Going to be a little bit of a climb back here as Falling Star going to recycle both of the Fury Runes and taking out the Hopeful. 4 might value taken out by 6 damage. Not exactly the exchange rate you're looking for, but at this point you kind of do have to, again, buy yourself more time.
And we take it out and we get our own Noxus Hopeful and a Battering Ram as well. We're just adding so much might to our base, really developing our board so that we can hopefully, I mean, come back to some extent with Sam is at 3, but also just establish ourselves in a way that Sam can't take this game.
That was a really good turn from TTA. Hides a card on the battlefield with Ezreal by using the seal, removes one of the problem units, again presumably hides a Fight or Flight to challenge the Mind Splitter from coming in down onto the Reaver's Row. And the Traveling Merchant with no cards in hand says discard a card, draw a card. You just get to draw a card if you have no cards to discard.
Yeah, that is a fantastic part of Traveling Merchant. I think the saying is like, do as much as you can. So if you can't discard, that's fine, but you can still draw.
And exactly, that's music to Draven's ears. I mean, really every player's ears. Everybody loves drawing cards, or at least you should if you're out there slinging spells wherever you are in the world watching. Thank you so much for joining us all, by the way. We are almost 70 minutes into our finals, and Game 3 has been a treat so far. We can only crown one champion, and there is still some game to be played. We are far away from the end of this game as it hangs delicately in the balance between our 2 Dravens.
Yeah, these Dravens are feeling the pressure. Every decision they make could honestly lead to the end here, and we'll have to see what they decide. I mean, there's a couple cards in Sam's hand. I do believe I see at least 1 Tide Turner, a Darius at Spinning Axe, and maybe a... What is the last one?
Fight or Flight.
Ah, Fight or Flight there. So many great cards that can help us, but we have to choose what to do this turn.
I feel like you know I've been casting a lot of Riftbound a weekend where I can see the little lantern in the guy's hand in Fight or Flight and know exactly what the card art is, but that's a result of covering many matches of Riftbound for you, which has been a wonderful experience, I might add. But before we get a little too poetic in the booth, let's have Mind Splitter move on in and force the action. Is it a Fight or Flight? It is not. It's Switcheroo. That's just about as good. In fact, I think Sam would have known what it was because saw the Switcheroo off the Mind Splitter and just decides, you know what, I'm going to win the combat anyway by popping Fight or Flight. Now my Mind Splitter is on the Reaver's Row and I'm the one drawing a card.
Yeah, I mean, he was prepared with that fight or flight. He had an idea what was there, and so he could deal with it very quickly. And now, I believe we won the combat, so we'll get to draw a card and get our point.
Yeah, Sam a little more astute than me. Actually, 100% knew what that card was after information from Mindsplitter, because TTA wanted to empty their hand first before the Traveling Merchant went off. And again, that little bit of maximizing value, eking out a little bit more of an edge, did give Sam a slight bit of additional information. I think regardless, would have been pretty happy with the exchange, and now Darius is going to come down to cut down the Spinning Merchant, and that Merchant is goodbye. That's 7 might to 2. That's a very easy win for Draven, and yet another card for Samdsherman. And what did we say today? What's the one thing you don't want to do in a Draven mirror?
Don't let Draven win the combat!
Don't let Draven win the combat, because drawing cards just snowballs the game to a point where Samdsherman can see the end in sight.
Yeah, and we are already to 5 points now, getting closer and closer to 8, but also starting to pull away from TTA. And so, I mean, we're looking kind of nice. 5, potentially 7, well, let's just say 5 might in our top battlefield since we only have 1 rune up. And it's looking like 8 in the bottom, and that hidden card, it's scary.
16 might at home, though, so TTA certainly got some things to fight back with, but what else is there in the hand? Only had 1 card to start this turn, did draw another one at the beginning of the turn, but getting out card advantage, honestly, in this spot. And so we're going to start by trying to challenge the Darius here. 7 might to 5 feels like a pretty easy fight to win, and Samdsherman going to have a glance at the hand. Note that the hidden card only works at the battlefield. It hides that. And unless it's a Tide Turner, which is going to move the Tide Turner over there and save the Darius. So the combat's still going to be won. In fact, no units going to go down here as a result. But Sam deciding that preserving the bottom battlefield and buffing it up, making it more of a stronghold for me to operate from, is more important than having a Tide Turner.
Yeah, we also get to protect this, I mean, 5 cost, 1 power unit. That is Darius. Darius is such a big, hefty unit, so it's really nice to be able to protect it there and only sacrifice the Tide Turner.
Yes, Tide Turner, one of the cards you can play from the other battlefields. So what I said about hidden is not incorrect, just didn't apply it fully, considering all the cards that Sam would have had access to.
That is very true. And now we're trying to figure out what to do with Reaver's Row. I'm sure TTA had a game plan for both of those battlefields, but I don't think he was expecting Tide Turner when he was initially doing his math, which means he's going to have to recount and refigure it out. And it looks like potentially we're going for a hold up in Obelisk. We're going to play a couple more cards. Since Ezreal is at risk there in the top battlefield, we'll play a second in our base.
Also turning the same trick with the Traveling Merchant. Same thing, discard a card, draw 2 cards. When you can't discard, you just get to draw 2. Feeling pretty good as far as the value goes, but is it in time? It's 6 points now for Samdsherman, and TTA gonna have to have a massive miracle turn to turn this game around, because slowly but surely, mid-range Draven is just plugging away at the points, and I would be very scared if my opponent found out 11 might at the top battlefield and started to have a peek into what they might get up to there.
Yeah, it is definitely intimidating, and Sam can be patient here. He's at 6 points, which is a really, really nice number. I mean, we only need 2 more. We can decide either to try to conquer both in future turns, but TTA at 3 isn't even threatening to win. So there is even a chance we could decide to pull back, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the play. Darius comes back. You'd think he's not ready, but 2 spinning axes will be enough.
Certainly ready. When you play a second card, ready me. And those spinning axes mean Darius is ready for combat. That is 7 plus 6. That is 13 might crashing into the Obelisk of Power. 3 units get deleted off the top battlefield and straight into the trash for TTA. It will make Rasa easier to cast, but there are no runes available, so TTA can do nothing but watch his forces fall by the wayside as Samdsherman is 1 hold away from winning Las Vegas.
This is such a great spot for Sambian, and I'm sure he is so happy right now.
Slowly but surely, considering all the options, what else do I have access to? Kai'Sa, Thermo Beam, I believe that card is. Oh no, it's Ferris Forerunner, excuse me. There are a couple cards that cost red power. I couldn't quite make out the single symbol with Sam's finger, just barely over the spot where this other one would be. Now looking in the base, counting the might at home. What do you have to break my battlefields? Where do I want to put this Forerunner? And you're at a point where you only need to stack a single side to win, and the Mind Split is already looking pretty menacing in the bottom lane alongside Treasure Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, in Ferris Forerunner, we do have the runes to play him to one of these battlefields. That would be an additional 6 might threatening to hold, and that would be all it takes to win. That being said, it would completely wipe Sam of all the runes that he has, which would mean that TTA would have all the knowledge that he would need to start, piecing together a plan to come back.
Well, TTA doesn't know this yet, but Sam doesn't have anything else to hand but units to play, so you might as well play them. You put them in your deck for a reason. Ferris Forerunner going to be deployed to the top battlefield, and Sam is going to say go. Can you break both of these battlefields? If you can't, I am going to be the champion of RQ Las Vegas. And TTA, again, look for Bushwhack, look for Russell, look for cold shots. This turn is going to have to be incredible to overcome the force that Sam has assembled.
Yeah, he's got so much might between these two battlefields. It's going to be difficult for TTA to break both of them, but he's got a lot of runes to try.
Bushwhack, that is exactly how you want to start this turn. TTA is not going to win off this, but he is going to do a lot of damage. This needs to work for TTA.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we do also have a lot of cards in our discard pile. I haven't seen what TTA has exactly in his hand, but we do have a number of big might units, and I think the biggest one is going to be that Rasa coming down. Might have been a 10 once upon a time, but it's going to be a 0, but just for 1 power, and 6 more might ready because of Bushwhack.
I like that TTA, I think, picked up the graveyard to start counting it. I was like, it's good. I'm pretty sure it's more than 10. This game has been going on for a decent amount of time, so how big can this Bushwhack turn be? We're going to start off by going over to this side with a battering ram and a hopeful and try and challenge the smaller of the two battlefields, and that is easy cleanup for Samdsherman. Is going to retreat. The Mind Splitter gives a bit more might for later, but still the combat is won, and the card is drawn as TTA is slowly but surely accumulating more and more resources. And again, it is called Miracle for a reason, because when it does its thing, miraculous things happen.
Yeah, that being said, even if TTA can bring back this tournament and stop Sam from winning, Sam has time. TTA will only be at 5 points, and Sam is just standing there at 7 points, even if he loses this top battlefield.
Yeah, it's not about having a big turn and winning the game from that point, although sometimes it is on the Miracle Draven list. It's often creating a situation where you do so much in one turn, play so many units to the battlefields, you create an advantage that is simply overwhelming. Scrap Heap going to be discarded here for Traveling Merchant, picking up 2 cards out of the deal, and TTA is starting to piece together what's looking like a completely disgusting Draven turn.
Yeah, I think TTA is trying to find a card here to push or rebuke either this Draven or Ferris Forerunner. We only really have 9 might here between Rasa and Ezreal, and I mean, we are currently threatening, I believe, 17 in that Obelisk, which is a little bit too much for these 2 cards to deal with right now.
Yeah, TTA, again, needed the Bushwhack to have the units enter ready. Needs more units. Here's Traveling Merchant number 2. We are getting desperate here. We might be moving just to draw another card. What else is coming? Battering Ram for 2 is not the discount we would have wanted.
But we are up to
17,
16?
Ooh. Rasa is 6. Never mind. Math is going to happen later. Traveling Merchant's going to move. A cold shot gets drawn. That is a very good one to play. It's going to play it right now. You can see Samdsherman jumping up and down in the chair. Rasa is 6, Ram is 5, that's 11, Ezreal's 3, that's 14, fifth, no, you're right, it is 16, Traveling Merchant, 2 might on that unit in the top right-hand corner. It is not Treasure Hunter, it is slightly bigger than that, as cold shot's going to happen. Be very careful, TTA, don't get too excited, put your cards down one at a time, draw your things, do not resolve your spell incorrectly. Tensions are high, cold shots are being made, and runes are going to be recycled, but it's all going to be worth it in the end. As we recycle once more, cards quickly going to the hand. Bring here Thundersong to the bottom of the deck. Not helpful here. What do we see now? A Spinning Axe and a Rebuke. That seems like a very good piece to have found. Rebuke immediately put to hand and probably put to task as well.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the card that TTA was looking for, because Rebuke would be a fantastic solution to, more than likely, I'm going to guess, Ferris Forerunner. So, oh, no, it's going to be the Draven, meaning Ferris Forerunner, if it gets killed here, actually is going to be able to create 2 more mech units in the base, and that can swing back next turn.
Is there any more as Rasa goes to the bin here for TTA? The mechs get made, the Mind Splitter is there, the axes are going to go away, but it's still 13 might at home for Samdsherman. The hold win is not going to happen this time. Double Conquer probably not going to happen on the next turn, but again, Sam can have a setup turn, let TTA go to 7, and then try and crash back for the win.
If I
Yeah, Sam still has so many options because of that early lead, and he also is actually running 3 spinning axes, unlike TTA, so he does have the option, even when these 2 spinning axes go to the trash, that he could find another.
There's Battering Ram for 1. We are going to hide a card here as well. It is ready, thanks to the Bushwhack. That is correct. Thank you, judges, for pointing that out. A little chuckle from the table. Good to see everyone still having fun this late and this tense into a tournament. A hidden card going to be put on the top battlefield here. It is 10 might up top for the Battering Ram, the Ezreal, and the Traveling Merchant, and it is currently 10 plus 6 is 16. So 16 versus, what did I say, 10? 16 versus 10 with a hidden card for TTA. This is a position that looks good. That turn wasn't the biggest miracle Draven could get, but it may just be big enough.
Yeah, and we do have 13, but we know Darius is in hand, which is potentially another 7 if we wanted to be running in with these different units. So I'm going to go on and say 20 might at minimum that could be coming in here. I mean, maybe not enough to clear both battlefields and get that win, but again, you can hold. We can also just take a turn to set up. These are all options, and we have so many runes. I am loving watching these players play. You can see they're having so much fun with all the smiles as well.
TTA kind of running out of gas at the end of it all. Had the big turn, drew through so much of the deck, but not a lot of resources left, and Sam has a bunch of runes and a fistful of cards to try and answer back with a big turn of his own. So as always, considerate, careful, and deliberate here. Every decision you make could influence whether you win or lose this final game of Riftbound here in Vegas.
This is the game that everything is coming to. Oh my gosh, and Sam is trying to figure out the best way to get big might, but also potentially maybe might this turn. Obviously, we talked about that Darius, I believe,
Kai'Sa, Switcheroo, and one other card. I think it's either a Tide Turner or a Fight or Flight. Could be a Treasure Hunt, I suppose. Could be a Ride the Wind, actually, as well. And Sam says, you know what? Let me take a minute here. This finals is untimed. What's in your bin?
Also, how much is in your bin is another thing as well. I don't believe we are far enough into our deck for it to matter, but one additional way to get points is to deck out your opponent, and in miracle cases, it is something that miracle decks have to watch out for. They go through enough of their deck that you can actually do it, and if you have enough units on your own board, you can run them one by one into your opponent's battlefield and force them to draw those cards.
Yeah, certainly could, which could be a fun way to have it all happen. Darius, though, going to be the player recycling a single power here when you play your second card. Ready me, give me +2. And Kai'Sa going to be accelerated here as well, so adding might to the table right now. Not really going to be used for the draw trigger for the Conquer, because probably not going to live the combat, but it will at least help win it here for Sam. So where are we going?
Yeah, it looks like we're deciding to send only a couple of them into this top battlefield, potentially. Darius does also get that +7. No, we are counting it out. We're currently looking at 21 might that it looks like Sam is potentially sending into this Obelisk of Power, and it does seem that's what he's going to do. 21 versus 10.
It's 21 versus 10, and even -7 is if one of the 7s gets pushed out by a Fight or Flight. That's still 14, so still enough to win the combat pretty handily here. And TTA, no runes available, only this one hidden card, and it can only be so many things. In fact, it can only be 2 things, and one of them does absolutely nothing in this spot if it's that second Bushwhack that did look so good for TTA's big turn. So Samdsherman trying to cut down a few of the units, get a card draw. We'll actually get 2 draws here. One for Draven and one for conquering a battlefield when it will not win you the game. Because you cannot win by conquering unless you score both battlefields on the same turn. So as a little treat, you get an extra card.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice thing to be able to draw from this. Obviously, you'd like to be able to win from it, but getting that card and getting further and further into your deck is going to be really nice for Sam. It does look like we are going to be killing the baby mech and the Kai'Sa, denying Sam the ability to draw a 3rd card from that Conquer, but it does mean that we're going to have 14 might still in the Obelisk.
Yeah, pushing back the Ezreal, I think, just for future court shots to make those power costs a little bit more tenable. Because again, TT are likely going to have to dig through the deck and dig deep to find a way back into this game. Because already, just with a single battlefield taken, this looks impossible to try and break through. And there are 2 rebukes in Samdsherman's hand, a hidden card, a ton of might, and not a lot left in the tank for TTA. Is this the moment where Samdsherman becomes the champion of Regional Qualifier Las Vegas?
Yeah, TTA's got to deal with a lot here. He does have a number of runes and some ways, obviously, to draw if he can find the cards to do it. First one is going to be stacked deck. Look at 3 and choose 1. I'm seeing Fight or Flight. There is a Bushwhack as well, but is it going to be a card that can help him win or at least stop Sam from winning here?
If a single unit is left on that battlefield, the game is over. Ezreal can fight that mech. So they will trade. Not a great trade for you, mind you, but at least Ezreal can deal with that. But you don't have any other units to really get in there. And Draven is still a deck that cares about combat. And to fight, you need units to fight with. You need forces to command. So Fight or Flight, a single copy, is just not going to do it. And without Bushwhack, I don't know how you ready some units. It would have to be Bushwhack, Rasa, but TTA just doesn't have the resources for that. Like, I'm struggling to find ways for TTA to not lose here.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how many Rosses have been played. We've seen at least one this game, but I'm not sure if we've seen a second. This is going to be, we are checking as well, I feel like ourselves, just double checking what is in our discard pile, what has been played, what we have an option to find if we continue to dig in. It does look like we're moving Rebuke to the top, so there is some question if we could find Fizz, we wouldn't actually have to find the spell we want to because it's in our discard pile already.
We are live and the venue is quite quiet, so I will lower my voice just a few decibels for now and try not to talk too much about the cards in players' hands, because again, we don't want any information going anywhere it shouldn't be going, and I'm sure the players are laser focused on the match in front of them. But I am known for being somewhat of a yelly boy from time to time, so I will reserve that for the final moments of this game, which I have to say yesterday, it seems like we are rapidly approaching one way or the other.
I will try to do it with you as well because I like to speak rather loud.
There will be time.
We will get it, I'm sure. Let's see here. I mean, this is going to be a big moment. TTA has a lot to think about.
Is that TTA's deck? Did he fan out his... Is there 5 cards left in his deck? Did he... Is that real?
I mean, I didn't think that we were going to see, that far in, but I did mention earlier, deck out is a way to win.
Looking at this stacked deck still, okay, there's going to be 2 more cards put under here. I forgot we were resolving one, so I believe took a spell that sometimes gets hidden. Again,
so 7 cards.
Not to reveal too much. Yeah, so only 7. Still plenty left in the tank. Here's Rebuke, pushing away the Mind Splitter. Doesn't feel great on the way back down, but you do need to move units off this battlefield.
Yeah, but so we're having to move things away. I think Sam is doing a really good job at being patient. A second Fight or Flight is coming from TTA, pushing Darius back. Now it's a 3-might mech being threatened as well by a 3-might Ezreal. It looks like we are taking a pause really quick just to check here.
Wonder if players are talking about maybe wanting to Rebuke a different unit? Oh no, wants to switcheroo.
That is such a smart thing. They do have to choose the target for the Fight or Flight. And now switcheroo is going to be able to actually make what was going to be a 3-might mech by itself at the battlefield a 5.
And that's it!
Oh my god!
Samdsherman with the switcheroo at the final moment is your champion of Regional Qualifier Las Vegas. It doesn't change which unit gets pushed, but I talked about it. The Ezreal was the card that could fight the mech, and the mech got just big enough to shut off that play. What an incredible end to what's been an amazing tournament here, but there can only be one at the end of the day. So our champion, our winner of our Blade of the Ruin King promo, and Playmate, our winner of the Best of Draven and the best Draven deck in the room and possibly the country, is Samdsherman and mid-range Draven as he takes it all in.
It is so nice. You can see he is so happy, just taking a moment to really process that win. You can tell it was so important to him, and it is fantastic to see these players.
Razor-thin margins. This game was played on TTA. I thought it was down and out in the latter stages of that game, but sure showed me that Miracle had more than enough play, but that switcheroo, that final hidden card that we had left in the back of our minds and forgotten until Samdsherman flipped it over to win Las Vegas. As the players do the thing gamers love to do, and chat about the games that just happened.
I mean, we all love this game, and talking about it is just one way to show it. That is for sure so cool to see these two passionate players fight it out at the end.
Well, it has been a long day, a long finals, and an awfully long weekend today, but I can't think of anything else better than commentating Riftbound for many, many hours in a row, because it has been a treat to see all these different decks, all these different legends, and even though it was all Dravens all the way, I think it's fair to say that Draven, maybe some people have it draw some eye because it is such a good deck, a represented deck, a deck that is commonly a fixture of the recent metagames in Spirit Forge, but I don't think you can call the Draven games boring. They are fascinating puzzles to solve in Riftbound.
Yeah, it was so awesome to watch, and honestly, coming down to a switcheroo was crazy. A lot of times you think of it almost more as a bluff, but instead it was the deciding card. So cool to see, and we got to see all the different types of Draven decks as well.
Quickly going through the deck list in just a second as we are going to look at our bracket one more time. 8 players entered here in our final throws at Regional Qualifier Las Vegas, and there can only be one at the end of the day. Took 3 games, excuse me, to get over the finish line, but Samdsherman is our champion, our best of Draven glorious execution. And I was trying to see just how many switcheroos are here, as there is the final best of winner crowned right at the finish line.
I love this picture. He was ready to fight it out, and he did. What a great game by both of these players. So cool to see. Oh my gosh.
And I have a deck list here in my hand today, and I've hidden it away from you in view for one very specific reason. So I'm going to ask you a question. How many copies of Switcheroo does Samdsherman have?
Oh, joke's on you, Pastry. I was looking at that earlier, and it is one only in the sideboard.
There's only one copy, and that is all it took for Samdsherman to be crowned the champion of Las Vegas today. It has been an incredible weekend here with you. I cannot tell you, as someone that commentated League of Legends for more than a decade of my life, how much I feel home here at Riftbound. So thank you very much for having me. Please invite me back. And I can't wait to see what Riftbound has in store, because already in the early stages of this game, it has been incredible to behold.
Yeah, watching all these players not only get to see each other and interact in person, have so much fun, but also have these master classes on screen and show us how much they love their decks and also how great they can play this game has been so much fun.
Can you believe we're only 2 sets in?
Yeah, that's kind of insane. There's so many different, options, so many awesome leaders that we got to watch today. There was a Jackson top 8. I think we had 4 different leaders. So many cool, great games.
Well, we've had all the games. We only have a few things left to do, so now we're going to throw it down to the stage for our awards ceremony.
I am here with the winner of the Las Vegas Riftbound Regional Qualifier, Samdsherman. I know the emotions have to be washing over you right now. How are you feeling after the big win?
I am speechless. I can't believe it. I'm so excited. Can you tell?
Yeah, I can absolutely tell. It's radiating off of you. What does this mean to you to be the winner here at the end of all of it?
I've been playing these big tournaments in Magic for many years, and every single time the takeaway is, man, I really wish I could win one of these things and get a trophy. So yeah, I can't believe it took me one Riftbound tournament to do what I couldn't do in many tens of Magic tournaments.
Well, I won't hold you back from your trophy any longer. Here's Justin with it. Let's present you as the winner of the Las Vegas Riftbound Regional Qualifier, Samdsherman.